Now, Dr. Saib, we are speaking about all these kind of disturbed sleeps which people in many professions would be experiencing, particularly doctors, as one of you was saying, and it could be even drivers who are running, you know, and they have no regulated hours and all that. So what are the kind of dangers that they are really exposing themselves to?
See, as these two colleagues were saying during the break, the sleep deprivation is indeed as bad as being intoxicated, as Dr.
Yes.
Manju was saying, or as Dr. Medrata was saying, for doctors, for some other professions, and where human life is at stake,
Right.
drivers to doctors to a lot of other professions, it's actually pretty serious. And so the legal or the organizational guidelines which have now come into place are only justified, because the propensity to error, thinking and making judgments, as well as in terms of motor tasks, are both really seriously impaired, at least at serious stages of sleep deprivation. And so that's one part. But I want to, if I may, try and get this conversation a little more evenly balanced beyond the things that we've been talking about, to sleep as we discussed initially, as a normal experience, and in this society for social, practical, psychological, emotional reasons or psychiatric problems, how often do you have sleep disturbance? So that normative and psychological, if not psychiatric perspective to the issues of sleep. And I would dare say, there'll be almost none of us who has lived a few decades who would not have had one or the other minor sleep disturbance at one point of time. And so, like everything else, we perhaps need to share with our listeners the importance of differentiating what you might have as an occasional transient sleep disturbance, falling asleep or waking up in between, or maybe because of very practical reasons of mosquitoes or how comfortable the atmosphere is, as Dr. Medrata has been highlighting, to day-to-day stresses, or as you were saying, work-related or personal life-related issues that remain on your mind.
True,
you know,
true.
To even transient psychological disturbance that may not really require medication. As Dr. Medrata was saying, unfortunately, like many other changes in the society, most human beings are by now looking for those quick fix solutions. And so, just to flag it now and maybe pick it up towards the much later part, but the whole issue of misuse and abuse of tranquilizers and sleeping pills is another issue. But I will also go back to the thing that I'm kind of flagging here in detail. What happens is the thinking, the emotive or the experiential part during the waking hours is, as you would all easily understand, and our listeners would too, by conscious or unconscious, deliberate or non-deliberate control of both the brain and the mind, the cerebral cortex as well as the social impositions, is kind of suppressed or repressed. Right? Now, what happens during sleep is, because the cortical inhibitions disappear and because the conscious, socially controlled inhibitions become less operative, all those things which have been kind of suppressed come up. And so that's what happens during dream or the disturbed sleep or the time that a person spends, turning around in bed. And so both in terms of psychological and emotional health, both transient sleep disturbances to some extent, but long-standing sleep disturbances actually can play significant havoc with the subjective well-being and the health.
Well, we have another viewer with us. This is Batraj from Rajasthan. So, if you're there with me, welcome to the show. And what's your question?
Madam, I have two questions.
Yes.
First is that I'm preparing for a UPSC examination, competitive examination. So, madam, in the daytime there is so much noise in my street, so I read till 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. in night, okay? Because sleep is so extensive. And then after I get the sleep from 4 to 6 in the morning, and then after 2 to 6 at the time of evening or noon, which we can consider. So it is 6 times complete hours which doctors generally recommend. But is this right time for my sleep? And the second question is that it is 6 hours duration of my sleep, but I get sleep after 1 hour or 1.5 hours. because till that time I generally think about the examination or syllabus.
Right.
It
So,
means that,
so you are stressed.
I
That
don't
means.
get sleep directly after 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
All
It
right.
takes
All
a,
right. Thank you
long
so
time.
much for that
And
question. I've got what you're saying. I would request Dr. Mehndi Ratta to take this, please.
This is very common with the people who are going to appear in the exam. This has happened with me, and I'm sure must have happened with Dr. Desai, Dr. Manjari, and even you. And it's so common, and probably he wants a peaceful atmosphere to study. That's what most of the hostlers and the students do. And then he's saying he sleeps after 1.5 hours because Dr. Manjari said if it is after half an hour it is abnormal.
That's right.
So because he has lot of, his mind is occupied with the ideas, with the questions, with the answers, how will he do in the exam.
Anxiety, there's a lot of anxiety.
So certainly that
him.
will delay the onset of sleep.
True.
I don't think that's too abnormal, but certainly he should think that I have to study up to this much time. After that do some meditation, little bit yoga, listen to classic music, and try to take rest. That will definitely help. But certainly it's a matter of career, so everybody worries that
so everything is put aside for a while. Where we have another viewer, this is Paresh Panchal from Gujarat. So Mr. Panchal, welcome to the show.
जी नमस्कार.
Namaskar.
ये हम देख रहे हैं कि छोटे अपने स्कूल कॉलेजेस के जो बच्चे हैं तो ईयरफोन लगा के आते जाते रहते हैं, कॉलेजेस में जाते हैं, बस में बैठते हैं, ट्रेन में हम देखते हैं कहीं भी ईयरफोन उनके कान के अंदर बिल्कुल होता है
जी।
तो इससे ये कितना खतरनाक हो सकता है. एक बात ये है, कंप्यूटर लैपटॉप वो भी आंखों के सामने रहता है, मोबाइल भी रात में भी आंखों के सामने रहता है, तो ये भी एक इसका भी हमारी नींद से बिल्कुल ताल्लुक है ऐसा लगता है. और ऐसे इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स कितने खतरनाक हो सकते हैं वो भी समझाने की जरूरत है, और इसको किस प्रकार से यूज करना है वो भी समझाने की जरूरत है आज की पीढ़ी को.
Thank you so much, Mr. Panchal. Manjari, what would you like to say here? Because this is the abuse of technology.
This is a common problem in today's generation. They are multitasking. So while they are studying, they have the earphones inside. While they're walking, they have the earphones on. While they're crossing the road, they have the earphones on. So much so that in the metro station, it was a recent news that the person with the earphones actually went onto the tracks. He fell onto the tracks because he was so engrossed in the music, he didn't even realize that he was overstepping and going onto the tracks, and he literally almost killed himself. Many young people are meeting with accidents because they're crossing roads and they don't hear other vehicles coming. They don't even see them because they're so engrossed in the music.
True.
So definitely this is a very disturbing trend. And even if they want to hear songs, they can always leave one ear open so that they know what's happening around. If somebody's honking the horn, they can hear. One can be closed. But at the same time, it's not just the earphones, it's also the volume of the earphones. Many of them have the volume at really high blast, and it has been shown that these things actually cause deafness. So there's an increasing incidence of deafness. There's seclusion. You're secluded from the rest of the environment. You're ignorant of the rest of the environment. You're multitasking. You're doing multiple things with the music in the ear, which ultimately is going to cause problems in attention concentration. About sleep, yes, many young people are using devices just before sleeping.
That's right.
Now it is known that the white light which these devices, if you're looking at the mobile, there's white light which hits your eyes, and this is very detrimental to sleep. It prevents sleep from coming in. And along with that, if you're listening to the music, so you're looking at the mobile, so you're choosing which track you want, and you're on the music with the headphone, it's definitely going to disturb your sleep. So it is for them to choose that this should not be, and it is for their family to advise them. But despite them, mind you, it's a very difficult task with today's teenagers.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Mehndi Ratta, I would also want you to tell us a little bit about restless leg syndrome that the report also talked about. There are some people just can't sleep because of that fact. There's some movement or something happening in the legs. They're so restless as they can't go to sleep. So what is this problem all about?
Yeah. Many of the women in particular will come and say, as soon as I go to bed, I have to move my legs. I can't sleep.
Right.
And it appears as if something from the calf muscle is going out. That's the common.
That's right.
In different languages they use, time will not permit that. And whole that time I have to move, not only move my legs, but also ask the children to compress the calf muscle strongly or massage it. But still, doctor, it doesn't give relief. The commonest cause in our country is anemia, especially iron deficiency anemia.
Okay.
That's the commonest cause. Because of that, the tendency to sleep gets delayed and they cannot sleep. There are a number of other causes like thyroid disorders, like kidney disorders, other systemic diseases. So restless leg syndrome is very common, often ignored.
That's right.
कि मैंने अपने बच्चे से दबा लिया, वो कर लिया, फिर चुन्नी बांध ली, फिर मैं सो गई. And that can be captured. One is on the bedside, and can also be captured by sleep study, which shows particularly some discharges in the EMG, we say.
Okay.
And if that is there, that suggests, and there are very good medicines available. If there is an underlying cause like hypothyroidism, low thyroid, anemia, correct that, it disappears.
It disappears.
And the patient feels very obliged to the doctor. Then in other, there is some called idiopathic, where there is no cause. Then also there are medicines, a very small dose, maybe 0.25 milligram. I will not name here, because then it will be self-medication. So that can have very tremendous effect, and patient can be very comfortable.
Right. Well, at this point, we are joined by another viewer. This is Dashrath from Madhya Pradesh. So, Dashrath, welcome to the show, and what's your question? Dashrath, can you hear me, please?
हाँ, right.
जी.
हाँ, मुझे 15 साल से नींद बिल्कुल नहीं आती है और सिर बहुत भारी रहता है.
और कुछ? Well.
जब वो चक्कर आते हैं, जी घबराता रहता है, उल्टी नहीं होती मेरे को.
Well, thank you for the question, Dr. Desai.
This gentleman, in all probability, needs a medical and perhaps more importantly a mental health consultation with a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist. It will be difficult to opine on probable causes right away with the limited information. But sure, a few important things to flag. Ever so often when we in our clinical practice see, or when people tell you socially that I haven't been sleeping for X number of years, that's really more a question of how satisfied one is with the sleep. And there are details of that we might or might not have time to go into. But again, I want to go back to that larger picture if we can get to our listeners. From environmental causes to social causes to psychological family issues to medical and neurological causes to psychological and psychiatric causes, there is a gamut of difficulties or issues that might cause one or the other kind of sleep disturbance, especially going to sleep enough in time or getting up in between. And so what any citizen, any person would do well is to not get fixated on any one of this, be able to do on one's own or with family and friends the analysis of which one of these components it may be, and for sure if medical or neurological or psychiatric help can be useful, go for that. But before that, let's look at the more so-called normative issues of sleep disturbance. And the other thing that I want to bring to the table that again has come obliquely or so often enough is the whole issue of sleep hygiene. What Dr. Manjri earlier mentioned and Buddhist colleagues have mentioned and one of the striking features that has come up in the last 10 or 15 minutes is the whole issue of unwinding. Both the brain and the mind, if not also the body, will require some amount of downscaling from the hyper mode that it might have been at 4 in the evening or even at 8 or 9 by the time you go to bed at 10:30 or 11. And so the whole issue of unwinding is something very crucial as part of the sleep hygiene. Not having a heavy meal and going to bed straight on. The physical issues of comfort that Dr. Mahendrada has mentioned enough about. So, and I'm sure in today's age people can get enough tips, good tips on sleep hygiene. But the whole issue of sleep hygiene for a given day or for a given period and maintaining the sleep cycle as a regular habit to the extent that one's life can permit are very basic issues that might actually help.
Having said that, we are joined by Aarti from Pune. So, Aarti, welcome to Healthy India.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening to you.
मैम मैं ये जानना चाहती हूँ, मेरा ब्रदर है, अभी वो 22 इयर्स का है
जी।
और वो अपनी आईआईटी की प्रिपरेशंस कर रहा था। उस वक्त उसकी थोड़ी स्लीप पैटर्न काफी डिस्टर्ब थी, रात में देर तक जागना और मॉर्निंग में देर से उठना और रात के समय स्टडी करना। तो उस दौरान वो थोड़ा टी वगैरह भी लेता था ताकि वो अपनी पढ़ाई पे ज्यादा ध्यान दे सके। तो उस कारण से मैम मैंने देखा कि उसको थोड़ा बाल्डनेस का प्रॉब्लम शुरू हो गया और बाल्डनेस इतनी हो गई कि अभी हार्डली ही इज 22 इयर्स ओल्ड, बट सामने से पूरी तरह से मतलब काफी हद तक बाल चले गए हैं।
So whether this is related to sleep or not?
स्लीप पैटर्न डिस्टर्ब होने के कारण
की वजह
क्या
से
ये
है या नहीं?
हो गया है
All
या
right.
और इसकी कोई मेडिसिन है या नहीं है?
Well, I don't know whether these doctors will be able to tell you a medicine for baldness, but whether it happens due to lack of sleep, let Dr. Manjari take this call.
The commonest cause of baldness in young men is hormonal and genetic. So if there is a family history of baldness, that is the strongest cause of baldness in young men. Apart from that, of course, you know, the hormone changes which also occur, the excess of testosterone, that also is responsible for certain amount of hair loss. But yes, if there is stress, stress is a very important cause of hair loss. And then stress also disturbs sleep. So indirectly, not though directly, lack of sleep could be responsible, but it's mostly due to the stress pathway. Stress and sleep have a very important role to play in the person's beauty or the person's looks. In fact, there's a lot of research gone on to how young a person looks, depending on how much sleep the person gets. So if you're sleeping well, you tend to look younger, and you have less chance of having early wrinkles. This has been scientifically proven in animals as well as human studies. So in fact, the best beauty parlor for a person could be a good sleep, because it reduces wrinkles, it improves the looks, and it makes you look younger. For hair loss, of course, there are multiple reasons, and not just sleep.
We don't want to get into
stress,
that.
lack of vitamins,
now
all these.
Manjari, maybe you can also take this opportunity of telling us a little bit about how yoga can help in good sleep.
Yes, yoga has a very important role, because there are certain exercises in yoga which can help people with insomnia. In fact, there's research which is done from our institute, from our group, which has shown the role of Yoga Nidra. So there are yogic techniques by practicing of which, you know, you have to take a sankalpa, practice it, and then come out of it in the morning hours. And doing these techniques help you get a consolidated sleep at night, improve the duration of sleep, reduce the sleep latencies to early, and reduce the mid sleep intermissions which you have, or interrupted sleep. So yes, Yoga Nidra is a very important technique. But just before going to bed, if you do Shavasana, the Shavasana progressively relaxes your body. So these are techniques which can be done by the self. So if you have motivation and if you have will, and if you are disturbed enough by lack of sleep, these techniques help. In obstructive sleep apnea, there are certain yogic exercises which help tone your muscles. So the muscles of the upper airway which collapse in obstructive sleep apnea, mainly by doing certain pranayams like, you know, the Brahmari and the Shithari. So these are certain pranayams, they are certain breathing procedures which help you tone your upper airway muscles and reduce the amount of sleep apnea. So definitely yoga has a very important role in relaxing the body and also getting rid of the sleep problems which you have.
Right. Now, Dr. Mehendilata, also does the kind of food that we eat have anything to do with the kind of sleep we get?
Definitely. What I mentioned, tea, coffee, they are stimulants. If in daytime you are taking too much, this also causes excessive diuresis. You have to go to washroom repeatedly. You get exhausted. At night in particular, any beverages, I'm not talking about alcohol.
That's right.
Even non-alcoholic beverages, maybe a glass of juice, a strong coffee or strong tea, definitely is going to affect, because it stimulates your sleeping center. Once the sleeping center is stimulated, so you will not get a good sleep. As the lady from Pune said, that her brother, while studying in the night, takes tea and coffee. That may be required to be awake and study, but that will also reduce the duration of sleep.
That's right.
Onset of sleep. Then certain people who take otherwise stimulants, so they are very dangerous and deleterious for not only the health but also the sleep health. So all these factors definitely, and I will say even simple water. If you are taking too much of water in the night after meals, your abdomen gets distended. Stomach capacity is 500 ml. If you take half a kg of meal and then half a liter of water,
you're going to have a disturbed sleep.
Distension, and
All
if you
right.
have autonomic.
Well, so before we wind up, Dr. Desai, you were mentioning a little bit about tranquilizers. Now, people just go over the counter and buy those pills and just misuse them like anything. So, what do you have to say regarding that?
One of the biggest public health issues is misuse and abuse of medicines, a range of them.
Right.
And amongst that list, the top of the top is the tranquilizers and the sleeping pills. So in terms of both prioritization, it's an important issue that we should deal with. But I still like to link it one more time with what I've been saying a couple of times. Let's share with our viewers that disturbance of sleep is a symptom of a possible body, mind, brain disorder, but it could also be an indicator of something other than medical problems or health.
That's
so,
right.
a sleep disturbance is an indicator or symptom of a variety of issues. Let's not jump to sleeping pills, which is a very common knee-jerk reaction or a quick fix.
That's right, right.
The tranquilizers, various varieties that have come up at the gap of every 10 or 20 years over the last 100 years or so, sure, each one of them, sleeping pills and tranquilizers, are better than the previous generation. And yet, no sleeping pill or tranquilizer is safe, certainly when taken without proper medical advice or without enough reason.
That's right.
And so for sure, there should be no hesitation in saying that while consider sleep disturbance as important, number two, see it as indicator of something else that may be wrong. Maintain sleep hygiene. By all means, go to a doctor or a specialist if and when required. If under proper medical advice, if there is prescription of tranquilizer or sleeping pills, by all means take it. But please avoid self-medication with sleeping pills at all costs.
True, absolutely. Last comments, Dr. Mehendee Datta.
Definitely, what Dr. Desai was saying, one should not always think that sleep disorder is pathological. Or inadequate sleep or excessive sleep is pathological. Something physiological may be playing a big role, like shift duties we were talking about. This is all physiological, it's not pathological. But if it is maintained on a long period, can become pathological. So first think of treatable cause, easily treatable cause by yourself or by the help of a doctor. And second is finding out if it is abnormal, then go to the doctor.
Absolutely. Dr. Mehendee Datta, concluding remarks, please.
Well, I'm Dr. Manjari.
Sorry, Dr. Manjari.
Sleep is very important.
I need some sleep now, probably.
Sleep is very important to maintain the balance of the body, and also how you sleep and the nature of your sleep will impact your next day function. And hence it is important for each one of us to realize its importance, not overcharge yourself with caffeine and off the shelf Red Bull. You know, Red Bull is so frequently available. Young youth need to know the importance of sleep. Parents need to educate, and of course maintaining your body weight, preventing sleep apnea, and so that you know your sleep helps you regenerate, and actually the function of sleep can help you throughout life is very important.
Right.
You know, in a lighter way and in a cross-cultural sense, Americans, and we've discussed this with the Americans, tend to use the word do. You do San Francisco, you do so-and-so, you do food, you do lunch. Amazingly, and there's a message here that I want to get to quickly. Americans, unfortunately, even most often by now say, do sleep.
Do sleep.
Now, the point is, as we have all been saying, please let's recognize the restorative functions of sleep. And so let's avoid this habit of doing sleep. Sleep means you do nothing.
You do nothing and you simply sleep. I think that's a very good
sleep is an
concluding remark by Dr. Desai. Well, folks, before we go, let's take a look at whatever has been discussed so far.
Common sleep disorders: bruxism, delayed sleep phase syndrome, hypopnea syndrome, narcolepsy, night terror or pavor nocturnus or sleep terror disorder, parasomnias, periodic limb movement disorder, rapid eye movement behavior disorder, restless legs syndrome, shift work sleep disorder, sleep apnea, sleepwalking or somnambulism, snoring, feeling irritable or sleepy during the day, having difficulty staying awake when sitting still, falling asleep or feeling very tired while driving, having difficulty in concentrating, feeling tired, reacting slowly, having emotional outbursts, needing caffeinated beverages to keep going.
Well, folks, as you know, this is the time now for me to give you my address so that you can write to me and give the kind of feedback that you would want to. So any changes, anything new that you would want us to tackle in this show, do tell us and do write to me on this address.
Healthy India, FB 116, Lok Sabha Television, Parliament Library Building, Parliament House, New Delhi 110001. Email healthlstv@gmail.com and our toll-free number is 1800115314.
And now let me thank the three guests for coming in today and for telling us so much about sleep disorders.
Thank you.